Welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices and Hot Topics. And one of the hottest topics going right now is what's happening in the Tennessee State, could be the Texas State Legislature, but the Tennessee State Legislature, where they are trying to silence the two young black men that they expelled from the legislature last year, and they got reelected. And they are taking their same position when it comes to gun control. And we're going to talk about, but first we're going to do the mailbag. Well, yeah. Well, we angered some people. Whoa, we angered some people. They mad at y'all.
Of course, when you
They
talk about
mad at you. When you
Trump.
talk about their boy Trump. Whoa,
Oh, yeah.
they come out the woodwork.
What they say, Fred?
I apologize for not wearing an orange wig today.
Well, here's one. Carlton Band XX 9804 said, "Ain't no way Black Americans can improve under liberal policy makers. Ain't no way." Well, I guess to Carlton Band XX, can we improve under Republican policymakers? And let's just take a look at history. It was under Democratic policymakers that we got the Civil Rights Bill, we got the Voting Rights Bill, we got the Fair Housing Bill. And if you look at the votes in the United States Supreme Court, the ones that vote on issues most important to Black people are those that have been put there by a Democratic president.
And Social Security. Don't forget about Social Security.
Okay, well, go ahead. What?
No, you got Social Security under Democratic.
Oh yeah, okay. You got Social Security, but in terms of and that definitely helps Black people.
Yeah, it helps everybody.
Yeah. So, but we're talking about Black people.
Okay.
So, how he can say that makes no sense at all, because Blacks have always supported liberal issues that help Black people. Okay, that's one. Okay, let me go to Gary Babcock, 489. While I appreciate your right to express your views, thank you, Gary. We appreciate that you appreciate it. The reality is that more and more Black Americans are enlightened to the fact that the Democratic social plantation has run its course. I'm a Democrat. I didn't know. Thank you, Gary, for telling me I'm on a plantation. I appreciate that. But if he's suggesting that Blacks are moving over to the Republican, if they call it a plantation, then I'm gonna say Republican prison, the Republican prison, because they would take away everything they can from us. But I just want to give the statistics in the 2020 election. Okay, Gary, 90% of Blacks in 2020 voted for Joe Biden. Only 10% voted for the Trumpster. So I don't know, maybe you look, your statistics is different than mine, but I sure don't see that as Blacks moving away from the Democratic candidate. So that's to thank you for, we do appreciate you responding to us, we really do. And so I think Dr. Chawla has one that she wants to do.
Well, my little cheat sheet was taken from me, so I'm going to do a generalized discussion. I looked over most of the comments, and there were a couple of comments made regarding that we're too old and unaware. And so I find that interesting in that Caleb Alexander, who's on this panel, is highly aware of things not only in the United States, but across the diaspora. Then I have Fred Williams, who did a book called The Fires of Greenwood, where he just did a phenomenal job talking about a subject that we don't hear much about in schools, and that's the Tulsa Massacre. Then we have Chris Dawkins, who's an entrepreneur and activist in the community, and I know that Chris fights for improvements in the Black community. Then it's myself. I have been asked to be a child advocate and respond to concerns to school boards. I also work with Black learners who are trying to do research on how to improve the experiences of Blacks. All of us are aware of the reparations argument, and we are for reparations. So this unawareness that you're talking about, I really would like more specifics on what do you mean by unaware? Are we unaware that we may not be saying exactly what you want to say? Are we unaware because you don't know how active we are? And I want to say one more thing. There is a man in the community that's 80 years old and Black. He is using his money to build a website because to help youth for homework because of his concerns of what's going on in education. So we've got people in our age group and further out who are more than aware. And we're just not going to sit here and allow you to say that we're too old and unaware. Also, I have done Black Lives Matter marches also. So I guess I am actively unaware.
Is this the only country where age is looked upon as a negative?
Probably so.
In other countries, they give respect.
Correct.
I remember the young lady we had here from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
She said she listens to the elders.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this country. And they always want to, like right now, this BS about Biden's age and
Right.
and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We just don't respect our elderlies in this country. And maybe some of these folks could learn from those who are a little older because of experience. So, but anyway,
I do.
anybody else want to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add to the general, just another general comment about the mailbag. And so a lot of times they want to shut down debate by saying that Black folks who don't agree with them are still on the plantation. And so if I just want to say, if we're on the plantation, you're in the nut house. And so you're carrying water for a president who tried to redirect a hurricane with a Sharpie marker. You're carrying water for a president who wanted to nuke a hurricane. You are carrying water for a president who sat and tried to deny the pandemic and allowed tens of thousands of people to die. And so you're carrying water for a president who normalized relationship with North Korea. You're carrying water for a president who pulled out of Afghanistan and then sabotaged his not predecessor, but who sabotaged his successor by committing to a 100-day withdrawal and knowing that he would be out of office. And so it wasn't Biden that lost Afghanistan; it was Trump. He pulled out those troops, and he did it illegally. You're carrying water for a president who denied funds to Ukraine because he wanted them to give him dirt on Joe Biden. And because he denied those funds to Ukraine, we now have a massive war in Ukraine because they did not have the defensive equipment they needed to be a deterrent from Russian aggression. So, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And I can sit here all day and talk about how stupid this man is and how stupid you are for backing him. But we don't have that much time for mailbag. But yeah, if we're on a plantation, you're in the nut house. That's my point.
And didn't he say something about you could drink something to?
Yeah, I didn't even cover that, right? The cure for COVID that he came out with. Yeah. So yeah, we'd all be sitting here drinking bleach and all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, you guys are absolutely in the nut house for backing this guy. This guy is he's insane, and you are too.
Okay, so we took it up 9 minutes on this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make our that's our hot topic
topic.
right there. But we can take maybe 5 more minutes and talk about what happened in the Tennessee State Legislature and how dangerous that is. Go ahead, Caleb. I'll let you
Okay.
take the lead.
So yeah, I guess I guess I'm gonna try to set the foundation as quick as I can. So again, it was Representative Jones who was silenced by the Tennessee State Legislature. They had enacted a new rules of decorum because of what had happened to with the Tennessee 3 last time. And so they called a special session, and they were there to debate providing resource officers in the schools because of the shooting that had happened where we had the loss of life of the 9-year-olds and stuff like that. And so Representative Jones wanted talk about. His statement was, we don't need more guns in school. So let's talk about mental health resources and improved teacher pay. And so they declared him out of order, and they escorted. He wasn't allowed to comment for the rest of the day, and then they stopped the legislative session. And so that just to set the stage for it. So
Okay, any comments? Any response?
I'm all for these guys, the Tennessee Three. They seem to be the only people in America, especially that's in a legislature, that is attempting to do something and at least curb the use of assault weapons. So I really support what it is that they're doing. Because of what they were trying to do, they shut down the session and said, we're not coming back until January. So that meant that there was no conversation. You've got Democrats and Republicans, mainly Republican women, who have lost their children in these mass shootings, who are saying this must stop.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
Okay. Everyone-
I see it as another attempt to, again, to curb anything that we want to say and or do. And to shut it down this month, it may get shut down again in January. I wouldn't be surprised, because I don't think that Jones and his associate are going to stop talking, and I love every minute of it.
Okay, and you know, this people talk about too much power in the national government, but if we don't have that power in the national government, then the power is going to go back to these states. And look at Texas, look at Florida, look at Tennessee, and a lot of these other states that are coming up with these anti-democratic actions. Here in Texas, taking away people's right to vote, making it difficult to vote. Tennessee fighting those brothers, and before expelling them. And we know what's happening in Florida. So for those of you who argue you don't like the national government, I will take the national government any day over these states' rights governments, because the people in those states' rights governments are dangerous to democracy.
And here's a comment from an unaware person. If you see what's going on in Florida in terms of special education, DeSantis took over a university, just took it over, and now they're crying because they don't have enough faculty there. Students are leaving town. But look what happened in Texas. They took over the largest independent school district in the state.
Yeah.
And those were politicians, and those were both Republican politicians. They took it over. Houston is basically a blue city. So they couldn't do what they wanted to do because they couldn't get the votes to do it. So what did they do? They changed the rules and took over the district. So I think that aware people need to start watching what's going on between Florida and Texas, because I really think that these are training grounds for what could happen across the country.
And these are states. These are the independent states. Okay, you want to have a quick close out on this?
Yeah, just to point out, I guess this will tie everybody's stuff together. So in Texas, it's called the Death Star bill. And so that's what we call, and so basically it ends the rule of city government. And so if the state of Texas doesn't like any kind of city ordinances, they can overturn or overrule those city ordinances. If they want to take over a school district, a city school district, they have the right to do so. And so it's basically a state has usurped local government, and so that is definitely not democracy. And so just be on the lookout for that, because once your state is no longer in Republican control, you'll see how that Death Star bill is going to affect your smaller Republican-controlled cities and county governments, and so you won't like it then. So just be on the lookout for other states to follow that Death Star bill, thinking that they're going to end the democratic rule in those city governments.
Okay. Hey, Chris, you want to make a final statement?
All I would say is that, when you talk about federal rule versus state rule, I would say that, again, you've got white Republicans who are fanatics. You've got black Democrats who are passive and they're okay. The comments that we get on our blog basically come from those people I would suspect probably aren't voting, especially in local elections. And when you really talk about the problems that we're having in the state, it's because these people aren't voting. And Republicans have had a chance to take over not only from the state, but also it translates to the federal. And I say if we want to change all of that, we must vote.
Okay. Well, this has been a good session today. And I appreciate all your comments, except when you all jumped on me in the last session about America. Okay?
No, you allow us to jump on you.
Oh, I'll close out with that. So this is Contemporary Black Voices saying thank you, and we'll see you next time. And in the meantime, we're telling our story our way.